So continuing on our bourbon theme, the next one is going to also follow that theme. And this bottle is actually getting pretty low for me.
Ooh, no kidding. Hello. That's like, that just reminds me of a good like barrel batch right there.
This is like tailor-made for Chuck.
So this one is from the Speyside region of Scotland. Ooh. It is finished in ex-bourbon and ex-sherry, and technically ex-double bourbon barrels. So there's once used bourbon barrels and there's twice used bourbon barrels. So this is using both of those. So
do you know what the one use was? Was it in other Scotch or was it in the? Like,
it could have been other Scotch. It could have been like whiskey. So like a whiskey that finishes it in bourbon barrels, something like that. Definitely not like a beer company that used bourbon barrels or anything like that. But so it's just not single use. It's going to be a second use. So these could be old faux 1910s.
Yeah, they could.
If it was, they missed a great marketing opportunity, as evidenced by Goose Island, that does their same beer, and they just put it in a Blanton's barrel, and somehow now this is a $50 bottle of beer.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Which is not as good. So the nose, I get vanilla and caramel, no peat or smoke at all. I don't get any of that like I did on the last one.
No, I get some apricot and apple as well.
Yep.
A little bit more, like I said, apricot or pear even than the first one that we had with the fruit. But I like that subtle background of the classic bourbon notes like that. It's really nice on the nose.
Oh, just wait till you give it a sip. So on the palate, I get like a caramel apple that you get at the state fair. So it's a green apple because there's a little bit of sour notes to it.
For 96 proof, it comes like it's a nice, flavorful, robust palate.
Yeah.
And even finish. This is the best finish of the night.
Yeah, I was
going to use the word kind of a rich finish. Just the flavors come through very nicely.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is the first one that like really starts to coat your mouth like a bourbon. Viscous, and yeah, I think rich is the perfect word. Definitely a lot of flavor, everything like that. I mean, there's a reason I keep drinking this one. Anytime I want to go to a Scotch, this is kind of my go-to.
Yeah, and again, there's like nothing off-putting about it. It's like, to me, the dominant... You still get a little bit of that like sour apple note. I don't get the apricot that I got on the nose.
Yeah.
And then I still get mostly just that toasted grain note that kind of goes through the end of the palate and lingers on into the finish. But
it's not so strong that it tastes so different from like a bourbon. You know, if you were to hand this to me, I don't know if I'd necessarily go, oh, that's not a bourbon. What is that? I'm not sure that would necessarily come out of my mouth.
I think if you put this up against, like, say, a Michter's, you might choose this over the Michter's, to be honest.
Yeah, they're quite different. I guess I can still tell this is a Scotch. The nose fooled for a little bit. I will say that, but I mean the palate and the finish are classic, or a bit more of a classic Scotch.
Yeah.
So,
but I feel like you can also
choose this over a Michter's to drink, perhaps, which is what your point was, but.
So
but it also just kind of carries some of that just almost lower proof bourbon taste, and it is lower proof, but again, not like in my head when I think Scotch and I hear the flavor profiles of Scotch, this just doesn't come through with the oomph that you would traditionally associate it with.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bourbons under 100 proof that don't taste this. They don't have this robust of flavors in the palate. That leave me wanting more. Well, in either of those, especially even the nose. Like for 96 proof, this I think has a fantastic nose, which is not true of every 100 proof bourbon.
Yeah, I think if you threw this against lower proof bourbons, there's a good chance this one and that Glen-Scotia 15 would come out towards the top of the pack because they get so much flavor and depth in a low proof, which I wish a lot more of the low proof bourbons would do, but with the low proof bourbons, you generally are lacking something in my opinion.
Yeah, that's probably based on age.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the Longhorn 16. So this one,
I know what the price point is. You were out of my price point at 15.
This is the exact same price point. It's right about $100. It's getting a little bit harder to find. It used to be Longhorn 15. They revamped it, put a purple label on it, and now it's Longhorn 16. It comes in a really sweet box. That's the good thing about Scotch. You're going to spend money, but they all come in boxes. So, I mean, that's the extra $15 right there. But yeah, so if I'm not gonna lie, if you're a bourbon drinker and you really want to get into Scotch, or you have a family member or somebody that really likes Scotch and you want to drink it with them, I think we can all agree the Glen Scotia 15 and the Longhorn 16 are easy transitions for you. So,
absolutely, this one was probably my favorite of the lineup so far.
Yeah. All right, so now we're gonna start getting funky.
Yeah, we are.
Oh dear,
I'm excited.
The music.
That funky Scotch boy.
So this one, I'm going to give people a hint, is the weirdest cap ever. So it is a screw top and a cork. So you have to unscrew and then pull, which just confuses the heck out of me.
Man, something really precious must be inside. Like, that's double lock, double seal. The nose comes out strong.
Yeah, it does. There's the peat.
Yeah.
And like sea salt.
Let's say I don't get a lot of smoke or peat necessarily.
I get the peat.
There's definitely sea brine. It's like my wife say, anchovy Caesar salad.
Yeah, I'm not getting anchovies, but maybe like a brine on a oyster.
Yeah. But it's still a really good
on an oyster? Is it
the salt in the stuff in the oyster, you know?
So to give the viewers like a taste of what it might be. So this is from the Highland region. So we had 2 regions left. So this is the Highlands. It's distilled in the Highlands and aged in the Highlands. And it's finished in ex-sherry casks. So, and Brian, it's in your price point. It's like $45 to $50.
That's why Chuck doesn't like it as much.
And it's 86 proof.
And that's why we all don't like it as much.
Is it weird to say I get some Band-Aids on this?
No, A lot of people say when you get into peated stuff, you get Band-Aids.
Totally.
I get used public swimming pool Band-Aid going on here, like just been floating around for a while.
It's used like ocean Band-Aids because you get the salty brine in there. Like you don't get that at the public swimming pool.
I do. Yeah, there's definitely some oak, wood undertones.
Oh, I'm a fan of it. I like it. It's so good.
So I actually have.
That's still it's more than the last. Good job, TJ, in your progression here. Not looking forward to this last one, but that's a nice smokiness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's like a good bark on the outside of a pulled pork, you know?
Yeah, if you want to get into, and if you know anything about scotches, it's not a surprise. The last region we're doing is an Islay. If you want to get into the smoky, peated Islay region, this bottle is a great transition to get you ready for it. If you can't handle this, you ain't ready for the next region. But this one will help you get there because it does introduce you to the peat, but it balances it nicely with, I would say, like salt water and there's still a little vanilla, a little caramel, but there's also a lot of apple and maybe a little brown sugar in there. So it balances it nice to offset the peat, but the peat and the smoke definitely give you a little hit to let you know, like, hey, you're getting close to a region that you may or may not like.
This is a ride from start to finish. Like, I don't get the peat that you guys picked it up a little bit on the nose. I don't get that. So I'm getting more of those characteristic, a little bit of sweet, and then the apple. And then you get into the palate, and then it's like this pleasant barbecue note. And then what lingers is just this like smokiness, but it's like it's a nice smoky. It's hard to describe. It's not like a cigar smoke or but that's just still what's like lingers in your mouth is just this pleasant, just like light smoke. But it's not a burnt smoke. It's not like a...
Yeah, it's what I do to my neighbors every Saturday and Sunday. I'm smoking in my driveway, and they get a waft of it in their house.
See PJ over there like sticking his mouth over the chimney, and people are like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. Well, that's me.
So we're talking about smoking on your grill.
Yeah, I would say I'm the one like just sucking it in at the pipe because I like the Islay Scotch. But my neighbor 3 doors down is the one with this, just getting a little wafts of it. Like, oh, that's kind of nice. I wish that person would invite me over. And I'm like, no, I don't like people.
So I actually have a High West release this year from Missouri that I think is their American Prairie that they did like a peated variant on. Mm-hmm. And this one tastes very similar to that High West product.
Yeah.
Actually, I've yet to send you guys. I
was like, oh, we wouldn't know, Brian.
Yeah, I need to send it your way. I'll probably tell Chuck get something really good, and then blindside him with it. But tastes very similar to that heated High West release this year.
Yeah. So this is, I really think, like, even as a bourbon drinker, it's not that rough of a transition. If you are interested and have wondered why people like Islay Scotches, I would recommend going to this one first because it's a good transition. And if you can handle this, you might be able to handle an Islay, but it's like going from like 2 to 20. There's a big gap between these two, as these guys will see here in a second. But this is Highland Park 12 is what this one is. So this is about a $50 bottle of Scotch. Very easy to find. Very example of what the Highlands are and everything like that. I very much like it. They released a Highland cask strength. I was really tempted to pick that up after trying this, but that would mean I couldn't buy a bottle of bourbon, and well, I like bourbon a lot more than Scotch, so I bought the bourbon instead. But this is what I would recommend to you if you're interested in Islay. Don't just jump in and buy an Islay because it's not going to be a pleasant experience. So.
And maybe that's the actual experience that you need.
Yeah.
Jump in, buy the Islay, and then go back to bourbon.
So, final region. I don't have to like slow introduce this bottle. It's an Islay. It's the first Scotch I ever bought because I really like the TV show, and how can you not like Ron Swanson? So I went out, I bought it. It's like $120. It's going up because it's getting harder and harder to find, and that is Lagavulin 16. I've really been tempted to buy his special releases of the Lagavulin. He did a Guinness finish in 2021, which everybody raved about, and was actually Whiskey Advocate's best whiskey of the year. So
you trust Whiskey Advocate, though?
No, I do not. So that's why I didn't buy it. But I do like Guinness. I do like Lagavulin 16. So like, I feel like I'd like it, but I haven't finished this Lagavulin because this, my friends,
smoked you out,
is a peated monster, and you got to be in the mood for it, and it's got to be the last thing of the night that you drink because after that, you've lost your palate. And I cannot wait to see these two guys with me try this thing. Chuck's tried it before. I will say that. Brian has never tried it.
No.
I like it.
Man, the nose on this. I mean, it was kind of like before we started, I poured these out and I told the guys, wow, this aroma is just like filling my corner of the room here. I think this single one alone was responsible for all that aroma.
Whoa.
This is somebody like spent 3 hours in a smoking building and then came out and went to your house while rolling in Band-Aids. That's what you got.
This is when you're sitting at a cookout on a nice cold fall day, and that fire, the smoke just keeps following you in a really bad way, and you just can't get away from it, and it just like keeps following you, and it's like wet wood. Like the guy, they rained the day before, and you're like, I'm gonna get this fire started. I was an Eagle Scout. I can do this, and it just like keeps just smoking, and that's what this is.
Yep. It is a definitely an acquired nose to get anything beside the smoke. But after a while, you do start to get things back there. There's a little bit of apple. There's Chuck's going to die because he tried
it. Whoa. Whoa.
This is great.
Okay, I just had my first sip. Whoa.
It is an acquired. I will say any Islay is a very acquired taste.
Yeah. I mean, it's like when you picture like Ron Swanson man drink, like that's exactly what this is.
Yeah, the smoke. So the first time you ever try this, it's smoke all the way through. It's like the first time you ever got into somebody that smokes an excessive amount of cigarettes in their car. It just hits you. It's never going away.
Yeah.
If I want to be honest, like obviously this is better smoke than that smoke.
Yes.
It is like a barbecue-y smoke to me. There is something else there, whether it's the apple. Some of those fruit notes kind of come, I wouldn't say come through, but maybe just kind of meld with the smoke.
Yeah.
You get hints of it in there.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this heavy smoke. Oh, there's a fire where they're roasting apples over the fire, and I get a little dabble of that in with all the other smoke.
Yeah, maybe it's like smoking with apple wood, where it's it's mostly still smoke, but you get a little bit of that sweetness that comes from the wood. Well,
I don't know. I have learned to very much enjoy this. When this bottle is gone, I will buy a second bottle. It will always be on my shelf. I've learned to really like it. Like, I really want to try an Ardbeg because and then I forget the other one. It's another L one. Lafroig, that's what it is. So you got Lafroig, Ardbeg, and Lagavulin are the big Isleys. But no, yeah, I've learned to really enjoy it.
I don't know. Chuck has that look of like, I would buy 15 Hendersons before I would buy this.
Well, I noticed you like.
I would buy 15 Lagavulins before I'd buy a Henderson.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
And he just give them to me and say, you owe me this much.
Nope, just that. There's the principle.
I do notice this is the only one he has not finished and does not look like he's going to finish. I think we found a couple good scotches. Obviously, you got to like really be in the mood for something like the Islay. But the Longhorn 16 and the Glencoe 15, if you really want to get into Scotch, I think that's a great way to get introduced to it. Or like I said, if you have somebody that really likes Scotch and you want to share something with them, that's a good one to choose. I'm not going to recommend going straight into an Islay. I think you're going to get your butt kicked and it's not going to be pretty. You're going to be really sad. But anyway, maybe we do another Scotch night. Maybe not. Let us know.
Ryan, let's just quickly take a poll. Bourbon or Scotch?
Bourbon or Scotch. Or the third option, make Chuck drink more Islay, because I am all for that.
I mean, call me greedy, but I want all three. I want bourbon, I want Scotch, and I definitely want Chuck to drink more Islay.
Is this just one bourbon, one Scotch, one beer?
And so, that is the mooch.
Exactly, from the mooch. And so, one of the things I think to take away from this is...
I think I asked a simple question, yes or no, like bourbon or Scotch, and he's just like on them.
It's what I do. I elaborate in order to teach and educate. I think one of the big takeaways from tonight... Well, we can't even do that with a straight face. No, this was a kudos to TJ, actually, sir. No, I'm done. Fine, I'm done. No kudos,
I like it.
TJ.
We end on a good moment. Kudos to TJ. I don't know why.
Kudos to TJ.
I'll take it. So once again, thanks for watching. We are going into 2022. We have some great things that we are planning. What those are, Chuck and I will figure it out, and Brian will join along as we send him bourbon and rye and everything else. And he sends us Henderson, and we just dump it down the toilet. But we want to hit 1,000, so if you would be so kind, please hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.
Drink bourbon.
Power of Scotch?